guys, Tim here with the Geekedupgaming Review Group. We're going to bring you guys another review of a great game that just came off of Kickstarter not too long ago called Pixel Glory. Now I've seen pictures and videos of it being at conventions and everything since its release, and I'm really excited to have gotten one from Zafty. It's actually Zafty Games, but their Twitter account is at Zafty, so Bezafty. If you want to follow them there on Twitter. And we'll go ahead and go over to the box, show you guys the components, and show you a little bit of gameplay. Alright guys, so here we have the box of Pixel Glory by Zafty Games. You can follow them on Twitter at Bezafty, Bezafty. This game is rated for ages 13 and up. It's a 30-minute game, and it takes 2 to 4 players. And it's a fast-paced card game. So on the back, we've got like a little guy doing a little fire spell at the three-headed dog, whatever his name is. The contents in this is 126 spells and attack cards, 26 unique monster cards, 36 auction cards, 4 tooltip cards, 1 tiebreaker card, 19 health point counters, 12 combo counters, and an instructions manual. This is a dungeon crawling, deck building, and auction drafting fun for 2 to 4 players. And then it gives you like a story in the background of what's going on. So let's go ahead and open this up, and we'll show you guys all of what's inside the box. So to start with, we have these cards, that the auction cards, and they're numbered 1 to 9 on 4 different colors.
And they have an
so we got
auction
blue,
ballot on the back.
and then we have red and green and yellow. And then we have the dungeon monsters, and there's 2 special monsters, the dungeon keeper and the dungeon lord, and we'll show you guys how that will work here in just a second. Here's the counters. The hearts are worth 5, the red cubes are worth 1 on the health points, and you use those to mark the health on the creatures that you're fighting. And then the white cubes are the combo point counter. So there's the pieces up close. And then we have a tiebreaker staff, and we'll explain that here in just a second. And then we have these cards, which remind me of Pokemon energies, but they deal 1 damage, so you're not going to use them as energy. They actually deal damage. And we'll show you how those are acquired and used. And we have 4 helpful tips.
Did you this?
Yeah, there's the green as well. 4 helpful tips, tip cards.
On the back, it has the
Paper, rock,
weaknesses,
scissors, table.
and then it tells you what to do when you have them.
Yeah, and then here's like a bunch of the spells, and me and Anna just got done playing a game, and this was an awesome spell to use. She put that one on there, and we ended up tying at 10 points, so I don't know how that's happened. I think it's happened twice now.
Oh, here's the
So
rule book.
we got a bunch of...
I have it sitting right here.
Yeah.
And it's only like a 4-page rule book, and it's pretty simple.
So let's go ahead and show you guys how to set this game up.
What's the card that's in
We're
there?
gonna... Oh, there's a card in there. It is a monster, which can't be on top. Here, we'll put him on the bottom, because that'll give you your 2 cards there. So I'll let you do that.
You randomly draw 11 monster cards, and in a 2 to 3 player game, you reveal all 11. In a 4-player game, you only reveal 3. So if it were just Tim and I, we would reveal all the monsters so we could see what's out there, so we can kind of know what spells to grab. And then you bid on, you put out 3 cards. We're not going to keep these out just because we're just showing you a basic.
Yeah, so if we had these 11 cards out here mixed up with blues, reds, or blues, oranges, and greens.
And then these are kept separate. And then I'll start with the tiebreaker staff.
So depending on what is out here, or what is in these dungeons, the dungeon creatures is going to depict on what you want to purchase from the river, I guess if you want to call it. So say if me and Anna both played a 1, she would win because she has a tiebreaker. Now,
and I get to choose, so I'm going to choose this guy right here, and then the number at the bottom only has to do with the town phase. And so that I would take 2 waters and put it in my thing. Tim would take his.
Yeah, so I would choose this one. So when you choose a card, right down here, it shows you what logo, and then it says times how many. So then I would pick up 3 of the fire 1 damages.
And then, since he was the last to choose, he would get the tiebreaker staff. And then we'll go ahead and bid. Oh, this gets discarded. And then 3 more come out.
And then we bid on these.
So we'll just show him.
Oh, yeah, there you go. 3.
3, and I picked a 5. So he would keep the staff because he's last to pick. I'd take this, take my 3. And it goes on that until everyone is out of cards. You have 9 rounds of this because you have 9 cards.
Yeah, so we can simulate kind of a gameplay real quick with just the cards that we have and how the power-ups work and everything. So let's throw him out here,
Well, wait. When you do
guy.
this, you mix the Dungeon Keeper in the deck, and then you put the Dungeon Lord on the bottom of the deck, and then you draw 3.
Yeah, so you would take all of these guys, put them all in a pile with the Dungeon Keeper, shuffle that. That would make your deck, and then the Dungeon Lord would go on the bottom.
And you draw 4 cards every time. You must play every card, but there's a reserve spot. So if you don't want to play a card a turn, you can put it in your reserve. But if you want to put another card in your reserve, you have to pick up the reserve and play.
So you can only have 1 card in the reserve at a time.
But you don't have to have a card in the reserve at all.
Right.
So.
And then the tiebreaker now has no purpose, and it can go over to the discard or back to the box along with any leftover cards from the drafting, and any of the auction cards can go back to the box as well. So now we're going to take these tokens, put them on these cards, and that's going to tell us how much health is on there. And it's kind of nice, like when you have 4 people around the table and the table is kind of oblong like ours, they can visually see the health on here. Now, when I'm usually playing the game, I like to use these as damage counters. So I would just say, oh, he's got 15 health, well, now he's got 5 damage. But be doing it correctly per the rule book, this would be the way it would look and set up. So visually you would see how much health they had. So let's say if this guy, I wanted to do damage to him, because I'm playing fire on him, then I would do I would do 1 extra damage per damage card that I played. So if I played 1, then I would do 2 damage because fire is stronger than the earth there on the chart. So let's go ahead and say I played 3, so I'd get 2 for that one, 2 for this one, 2 for this one, making 6, and it would deplete 1 heart and then the second heart, and then we put out square cubes to make up the remaining.
And then we can take the 5 off this one and put a heart there. And then I'm going to play this. It says draw 1 card, discard any number of cards. I'm not discarding anything. And then, well, I can discard that. And then, so this is 2 points, 3 points. And this deals 2 damage to every character.
2 and 4 to this guy.
And since Tim didn't kill any that time, he actually gets a combo point. And then so that's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I would take 7. That's 5.
Yeah, because these 2 cards, they do 1 damage, but because it was a bonus against the fire, that gives a +1, a +1. So that gets 4, and then this one does 2 damage by itself. But it's a separate card, so it gets a +1 as well, making it a 3 damage card.
And then this says if you deal 7 or more damage to Dracolia, I can't read that, without killing it this turn, gain 1 combo point. So I would get a combo point. And then I also get a combo point because I didn't kill anything this round. So I have 2 combo points. And when you use combo points, you have to have 3, and you can kill any elemental monster. So you can't use, or draw 4 cards. But you can't kill the Dungeon Keeper or the Dungeon Lord with 3 combo points.
Right, because they are not elementals.
And the game ends when you kill the Dungeon Lord, and each card has victory points on them, and that's what you count, and the person with the most wins.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different cards that will actually let you do direct damage, but then there's these cards where it says draw 2 cards, discard 1 card. Or if you get one that has the SP under the frame there, you would have to have 2 water damage in your hand like this like say if this is what I had in my hand, this is what I had left, I have to sacrifice 2 damage cards to my discard pile to activate the second one, which is a random player draws 3 cards. And if you want to do that, if you have only 4 people playing, then you would somehow come up with some kind of way of working that out to where it was random. So that's a quick rundown of how the game plays, and maybe in the future we'll be able to bring a full playthrough and we'll do a full game so you guys can get really a lot better idea of Pixel Glory. So let's go ahead and go over back to the Jolly Roger and tell you guys what we think about the game. Alright guys, so now it is time for us to tell you what we think about Pixel Glory from Zafty Games. I think the game is, the more I think about it, it's a good game, but I feel like that the actual monsters need to do something in return, instead of just us fighting the monsters but them being not defenseless at all. And then we get bonuses on top of that, and there's no repercussions for, like, there's no way of missing or anything else. It's like a 4-short hit and everything else, so it's like feel like a dungeon delver, but then all the NPCs are, it's like going into a dungeon and everything's glitched out and everything's sitting still, and you just go up and kill it, and then it's like, oh, well, okay. And then, like, I think it's kind of cool that they have the drafting, like the competing for the cards and everything, and then we have to build our decks and stuff, and I think that the decks are pretty balanced and even between the two, at least playing in 2-player. And it's like we're almost just competing for points, really. We're not actually fighting anyone in the dungeon. We're just competing each other to hit the opponent. And then it also felt like when I was doing most of the damage, then the other person can just swoop in and take the kill.
I think that's part of the strategy too. So if you put a bunch of hits on someone, you know they're going to get it next, you might not want to put that damage on someone. So I tried to even it out, but Tim just kept doing damage to the end, and I come in and sweep him.
Yeah.
So it just, I think that's part of your strategy, because you know that that's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm just one of those heavy tanks that like to go in and just destroy whatever it is that's in front of me, and maybe that's part of my issue as far as the points go. And maybe I'm used to characters having some kind of a defense mechanism, like an armor or something, and then I need a certain spell that can pierce the armor or something like that. But as far as
so
a, like,
simplistic to what you're used to.
Yeah, simplistic to what I'm used to. I'm used to the heavy strategies, and maybe this is supposed to be like an entry level to dungeon crawling and everything. The reason I wanted to actually take a look at the game is because of the artwork. That's what I was really going for, and the artwork in this is amazing. I love the 8-bit style. Every game that I see that's 8-bit, I want to see it, you know, and I want to get my hands on it, and I want to do a video for it.
And I think I'm different, because I don't like 8-bit art.
Yeah, I mean, the game itself is a really good game. It's definitely worth having in your library. It's definitely worth buying. I must be just a picky person. Like, I'm just used to, like, heavier dungeon games where you've got all this different equipment and everything else, and this one's pretty straightforward. So,
but I think it's nice because you can play it quickly, and
yeah,
if you're looking to dungeon delve, because it's not like a heavy dungeon delver.
Yeah,
but if you want something, it's quick.
It only takes about 30 to 45 minutes to play.
What did we played it in like 15.
Well, I think the initial setup, because the setup's not just the cards being put out on the table. There's also building your deck, so you have to play you're competing against each other for certain cards, playing your auction cards to acquire spells, and then those spells have the bonus of whether you get 3 fire or 2 water or whatever the number is of that element, and that's really cool and everything. I've never seen that. I've never seen those two mechanics be put together where you're auctioning for cards and then you're building a deck, and then it's going to turn into like a deck builder. But then once this game starts, once you depict on who's going to go first against the characters, that's your deck. Like, that's your deck for the entire rest of the game, and there's no more building the deck. So it's kind of cool to see deck building in the game, but then you have a set deck once it's all said and done.
And I think it's a different way to build your deck with the auction cards rather than just, oh, I get a free card or I have X amount of points. You get whatever card you want based on your pick.
Yeah, and then having the, what do I want to say, the spell card, having the
like elemental elemental damage.
No, the I'm trying to think. The spell cards having the ×2 and whatever. It's a neat mechanic to be like, yeah, we're trying to acquire these cards. Not only do you get the text of the card and what it can do, but you're also getting that bonus of the 1 attack cards. So your earth, fire, and water.
And I think you have to be careful with that too, because like if you grab too many high-end cards, you could flood your thing with 1 damage, and you're just sitting there doing 1 damage on each turn. Whereas like I tried to make my deck small.
4 damage at a minimum, because you have 4 cards in your hand at all times.
No, I'm saying you can flood your deck with the elemental
with
damage.
The elemental.
So if you keep hitting like 4 times 4 times 5 times 4 times 5,
yeah,
you could flood your deck and not really get to your spell
I noticed
cards.
that it would be a better, building your deck is better, and it also changes the quantity of cards you have versus what your opponent has, and who's got a bigger deck. And if you want to build for a better strategy to build a smaller deck, you would buy all the cards that are, you would only get 1 elemental damage or 2 elemental damage, where I was picking up cards that would give me 3 or 4, and it was just too much elemental damage versus the cards. But some of the cards I needed those extras for the SP, so I could eliminate those and then use the secondary text box, which I never got an opportunity to do that. But in the end, I ended up taking out the Dungeon Lord in the last game we played. So,
but the points didn't matter because I already had enough to tie him.
Yeah, so we both ended up with 10 points. So, but overall, it's a good game. It's a really good entry level to dungeon delving and dungeon crawling. I know, so like what I said in the beginning, I don't want that to be like, oh, this game's awful or anything. Like that's not what I was saying. It was just something I wanted to point out up front about it, that I felt was an issue, and maybe it's just my personal preference, but
it was fun.
You know, it's just one guy's opinion. So
I had fun.
It's definitely, if you don't want to buy it and you wanted to try it out, maybe find a local game store or a local game library that might have it, and then try it and then base it off of that, and see if you want to get a copy.
I think it's a backpack game. You can play it quickly and put it in your backpack.
I think this one, Iron and Ale, and Boss Monster could all go together and be in your backpack.
With Flux.
Of course, with Flux. Flux is always one of those backpacks.
And we always pack zombie dice, but we never play it.
Yeah.
But that's another story on our backpack games. But anyways, we always pack way too many and play none of them. So, when we go to cons and game nights. So,
at least check it out. And it's a lot of fun. So, that's all I have to say about it. So, I'm going to end it there. So, as always, I'm Tim.
I'm Anna.
This is the Geeked Up Game Review Group, and this is Pixel Glory by Zafty Games. You can check them out at bzafty on Twitter, at BEZAFTY. See you guys later.